Hey guys, it's Soulworker from MMOs.com with another quick week news recap of all major MMO news announced this week ending September 24th, 2018. This is episode number 165 of the recap, and the first bit of news this week is from Neverwinter Games regarding Bless. The South Korean version of the game is permanently shutting down on November 19th, but in a producer letter published on Steam, Neverwinter's executive producer has promised that they'll continue support of the Steam version and work to make it successful for years to come. Anyone following the Bless saga shouldn't be too surprised to see the game shut down in South Korea, and no one should be surprised when the Western version shuts down as well, as the game has been bleeding players since launch and is currently averaging only about 800 players online at any given time. I expect that once Bless Unleashed for console launches as a free-to-play game, Neverwinter will either make the PC version free-to-play or just shut it down altogether. Bless has already failed in numerous regions, including its home market, and it's also such a poorly optimized game that it has no chance of success. Anyways, moving on to more positive news. The highly anticipated isometric action MMORPG Lost Ark is launching into open beta in South Korea on November 7th, and we'll get regular big updates called Seasons, along with story content updates called Episodes, so a lot like what Guild Wars 2 does. There's been a lot of hype surrounding Lost Ark since it was revealed back in early 2015, and it looks like the game is finally hitting a big milestone. No word on when the Western release date is, but once the game hits open beta in South Korea, we'll at least be able to try it out with relative ease. I expect that we'll be getting a big announcement for a Western release sometime in 2019, but I like what I see so far. So we'll get an announcement in 2019, and it'll probably launch in 2020, or late 2019 is my guess for the English version. And speaking of open betas, MTG Gathering Arena is launching into open beta on September 27th, and will challenge Hearthstone and Shadowverse in the digital card game Arena. The game promised to be a bit generous, giving out packs for doing daily quests, but unlike Shadowverse and Hearthstone, will not have any kind of dusting system. So getting specific cards may be a bit difficult. Still, MTG Gathering is my favorite card game of all time, and I'm glad to see a free-to-play version of it online. There's always been various MTG Gathering games, and they all played really finicky, and given the complexity of Magic, they just didn't really work too well. MTG Arena, on the other hand, looked quite polished, and I'm looking forward to giving it a try on September 27th. Also in card game news, Elder Scrolls Legends is getting a massive update today on September 24th, which will overhaul the entire game. So Bethesda basically ditched their partnership with the current developer and brought in a whole new studio to work on the game. In fact, the new version launching today rebuilds the game from the ground up with all new code, a graphical overhaul, and a console port. Gameplay-wise though, nothing will change, so they're basically just adding a ton of polish and optimizing some of the back-end stuff. The game is currently averaging about 1,100 or so players on Steam, so I suspect that number will jump after today's big update as well. And 1,100 ain't bad. Next up, Perfect World International launches news expansion this week titled Redemption, and is also celebrating its 10-year anniversary. Perfect World International was one of the earlier free-to-play MMORPGs in the West and helped get the free-to-play market rolling. Unfortunately though, besides Perfect World International, most other Perfect World developed games have since shut down in the West, but Perfect World International is still going. This latest update introduces new zones, a 6 boundary tier, a dungeon bestiary, a new mini-bosses, graphical tweaks, and more. If you never played this game, I say it's well worth the download for the character creation system alone. Trust me, you will not be disappointed with how crazy it is. Up next, anyone looking to relive their nostalgic experiences with Lineage 2 will get a chance, as NCSoft is launching a Lineage 2 Classic server on October 3rd. Classic servers will retain many of the graphical and technical improvements of Lineage 2 today, but with the gameplay experience and the content available will be similar to the old version of the game prior to the release of the Goddess of Destruction update. Keep in mind though, this isn't a new concept. The European and Russian versions of Lineage 2 already had Classic servers, but this is the first time it will be available in North America under the NCSoft brand. Given how well progression servers and Classic servers have worked for other games, I expect that this will bring a lot of players back to Lineage 2. And speaking of classic and progression servers, Fallen Earth is planning to launch a fresh start server sometime in the future. If you've never heard of this one, it's a post-apocalyptic sci-fi MMORPG that launched back in 2009. This one was never super popular, especially these days, but with a little love and new progression servers, it could bring back players. Unfortunately, no word on when the progression servers are happening, it's just they're in the works eventually. For the time being, the developers are working on improving their early game experience and polishing up the game. Also in progression server news, Rift Prime is launching its Storm Legion expansion on October 3rd. Keep in mind though, Rift Prime progression servers are only available to subscribers. Storm Legion adds 2 new contents to the game along with 7 new dungeons, 3 new raids, a new world boss, a new crafting tier, an increased level cap of 60, and much more. So far the game's Prime servers seem to be a hit. Most of the progression servers these days seem to do really well, so it's not just Rift, it's basically every game with a progression server. Next up, the anime action MMORPG Soulworker launched its newest update this week, which added the new Primal Raid to the game, which is being billed as the game's toughest task so far. And given that Soulworker was always harder than your average action MMORPG, this might actually mean something. Primal Raid is available to up to 8 players at once in a single group. The players need to clear all initial raid quests and the Golden Citadel before they can even enter. Soulworker is currently averaging about 1,200 or so players on Steam at any given time, so it's doing fairly decently, especially when compared to other instance dungeon persistent MMORPGs that launched this year. Like Critica and Closes, for example, they have much less players, so Soulworker is doing fairly well. Next, Neverwinter is redesigning and overhauling its entire crafting system, calling it a ground-up redesign with all new recipes, upgraded workshops, new horrible artisans, and more. Neverwinter is actually easily Perfect World's most popular MMORPG, as it averages almost 2,600 players online at any given time on Steam alone. I didn't really explored the game's crafting system too much when I played, but I played this at the max level and did have a lot of fun with it. These new changes though are set to hit the game's test servers later this week, so they should be coming out probably the next month or so. Next up, World of Warcraft is getting a big update titled Tides of Vengeance, which will continue the game's war campaign with new world quests, faction incursions, and new story content. The update also includes a new Warfront title called Battle for Darkshore, new heritage armor, new island expeditions, a new pet battle dungeon, some class rebalances, and most importantly, 2 new raids are on the way. Siege of Zuldazar and the Crystal of the Storms will be launching with the update. No word on when Tides of Vengeance is launching though, but my guess is it'll be launching sometime in November or December. Moving right along, Blade & Soul previewed its winter update for the Korean version with a new trailer. The new update introduces awakenings for all the game's classes, new dungeons in 6 and 12 player varieties, and tons of new costumes. There's also a new Lin Warden class to get excited for as well. Unfortunately, this is all for the South Korean version of the game, but these will certainly make their way over to the NCSoft Western version sometime in the future, so just more goodies to look forward to. Next up, Wargaming, the company best known for World of Tanks and World of Warships, is building a new free-to-play multi-platform MMO in their new UK studio. Unfortunately, we don't know anything about this new title, besides that there are about 25 people working on it, and that'll be a free-to-play multi-platform MMO. But given Wargaming's success with both World of Tanks and World of Warships, I expect that whatever they do release will probably do decently, but we'll have to wait and see. And I mean, there's no announcement for this game yet, it's just a new MMO in the works. The next and last of news this week comes from Uncommon Games regarding their new MMO in the works titled Waven, Heroes of Cosmos. They released a teaser trailer for the game, and while it looks quite early in development, it looks like it's set in the world of Wakfu and will be playable on both the PC and mobile devices, and will involve deck building, strategic combat. Not too much is known about this one just yet, but we'll likely learn more about it in the near future. Anyway guys, that's it for MMO News this week. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the podcast. Later guys.